Welcome back, everyone, to the North American LCS Spring Split. I am David Freak-Turley, and the man to my right is none other than Joshua Jat Leisman. Ready to cast some games?
It feels really good. It's been a while since I've been able to cast some games, so I'm excited.
I'm very excited as well. So we're going to head into our next match. It's Renegades versus Team Liquid. Now, last split, Team Liquid looked to be one of the absolute strongest teams in North America. They were a favorite to represent at Worlds, but like clockwork, it wasn't meant to be. They narrowly missed auto qualification, and then Cloud9 in the regionals took them down as well, and Team Liquid yet again had to rebuild after just missing their goals.
Yeah, it's easy to forget these guys were the first place team in the summer split regular season, and every team made changes to their roster in the offseason, but Liquid also made substantial expansions to their organization's infrastructure. Now, they have 2 players for every role. This is actually a 10-man roster coming into the split, as well as position coaches, and this will allow them to kind of practice new strategies internally, and it may take some time for them to kind of rediscover a style now that they've made so many changes, especially after their longtime top laner Quas stepped away from League of Legends, but also with LocoDoco back in there, we'll see some changes.
Yeah, he might be able to improve these players very quickly, and of course, we are going to have to see these guys cut their teeth against one of the LCS's newest teams in Renegades. And even though this team is new to the LCS, of course, there's quite a few veterans on this roster. First up, Alexic. Everyone knows him. Everyone loves him. He was known for these European LCS stints, Moscow 5, Gambit Gaming. He's played a couple of World Championships as well. Crumbs also in the jungle, formerly of Team Dignitas. Even played top lane for them before. Also an amazing player, and these guys, they won Challenger, they auto-qualified in, and they're here to, make as big of a name as they can.
A lot of classics on this roster.
Yeah.
Alexic and Crumbs, they were 2 players that were considered to be on their way out of the scene after a few rocky splits. So today, honestly, is the start of their redemption story. Winning Challenger was also the start, but this is the start of their LCS redemption story. And Renegades actually has had more time to practice than most other LCS teams due to their boot camp into Korea, as well as playing through the Challenger series with 4/5 of this roster. And I think they'll benefit from their time in Challenger.
Absolutely true. I think these guys are going to be coming out the gates of quite strong. We'll see if Team Liquid can do the same here. Of course, the big stage is something Crumbs is very familiar with. We talked about him competing before, but also so is the jungle matchup against I Will Dominate.
In the LCS, back when it didn't exist, I was on Dignitas with Dominate, and he was the jungler, and then eventually I became jungler for Dignitas, and he took a year and came back, and after that we kind of being a little bit of, not so much rivals, but friendly competition. So I think it's always a fun matchup to play against, because every time we meet in games, it's always one of us getting really fed, the other guy just as fed, and all our teams doing really poorly, and it's always kind of a fun match that way.
I kind of don't believe that story.
Really?
Actually, I'm not sure. Just
they both start 7-0 every game?
I want to see this 7-0 start from both of these junglers and their teams doing poorly. Maybe it's a solo queue story, so it's hard to call. Another fun fact, before I Will Dominate was the jungler for Team Dignitas, I was.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got some connection to these players, just a little bit.
Just a long line of Team Dignitas junglers, and we'll see which one will be the best one to live on in history. As Key-Ray's now on that one. But we're not about Dignitas, we're about these guys. Let's check out the starting lineups. On the blue side is Renegades in the top lane. RF Legendary in the jungle, Crumbs in the mid lane, Alexic, Freeze at AD carry, and Remy on support with Coach Hermes behind them.
And on the red side here, looking to make a mark this split, is Team Liquid, with Lorlo making his NALCS debut. I Will Dominate returning in the jungle, Phoenix in mid lane, Piglet on AD carry, and Smoothie will be stepping up after the departure of X-Special in the offseason, with LocoDoco, TSM's former coach, doing the pick bans.
And I have heard good things about LocoDoco from the Team Liquid guys, actually. I remember seeing a couple of tweets like, wow, it's been so short, but I've already learned so much with him already. So it seems like Team Liquid are taking to him quite well. And it's funny because I know last year Team Liquid were good at so many different things. They could run almost any strategy around any one of their players, and they had this giant playbook to deal with. By contrast, their new coach, LocoDoco, was with TSM, who kind of only played one style over and over again.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Think what you want about LocoDoco from seeing TSM Legends and seeing how Reggie took over coaching, but with LocoDoco at the helm for TSM, they underwent substantial improvement. They were almost always the top 2 team in North America. They've never been anything less. They won IM Katowice, and even if they didn't find success at international events, they at least had experience at international events. And one of the hardest things to find in League of Legends coaches is experience.
True.
So LocoDoco is actually one of the more qualified, if not one of the most qualified coaches in North America now. So it does not surprise me to say the Team Liquid has done well with him thus far.
Absolutely. So we're going to see just how well it's going to go for them. And of course, it's going to be an interesting measuring stick with Renegades being so new as well. I know there's a lot of people who have, these guys have large fan bases, right? Everyone wants to believe in Alex. Everyone wants to believe in Crumbs. But, in Alex's case especially, it's been such a long road. You almost question how good is the measuring stick? Like, if you beat Renegades, you're like, yeah, we're back on top. Team Liquid, we're here to stay. Both these teams have kind of a lot to prove that they deserve to stay on this stage, that they deserve to go to playoffs at the end of it all.
Yeah, Spring split 18 games. Everyone plays each other twice. So your first impression of a team, while important, is definitely not the be-all, end-all. And for Alex and Crumbs and really the rest of Renegades, it will be a continual process of evaluation. The fact of the matter is, Crumbs and Alex have been away from the LCS for so long, they're almost completely different players at this point. Mm-hmm. The game changes so much. The players that have been around for 4 or 5 years, like these guys have had to adapt and evolve their games so many times to keep up with the meta. And I'm really excited to see when they can start blending their experience with their newfound comfort in practice. A player like Alex, I don't think has ever been in as stable of a situation as he has been in now.
True.
Right? Back when he was in the European LCS on Gambit or Moscow 5, he would have to travel from Russia to the European LCS studios basically every single week, which would cut down practice time. Then wife, child, a lot of other things that he has to keep support for. And now with Renegades, he's able to have support for those things. He's able to not have to travel far between games. Mm-hmm. So the Alex Each, we're closer than ever to being able to see the Alex Each we saw in Season 2 when he dominated everything, because that's when he was kind of free of distractions and able to focus on League of Legends.
And now he's back to be able to focus on League of Legends. We'll see how that works out. And, of course, there's another player I think we should talk about a lot more in Renegades as well, their most recent acquisition in Freeze. This guy at one time was considered number 1, maybe the number 2 AD carry in Europe. This guy had such a following back a couple years ago. Hadn't seen a lot from him in the recent history, but this guy is still an incredible player, incredible AD carry, and here he's got an LCS team to play around, and he could do so much work here.
I absolutely agree. Just to give everyone a heads up, there is a key binding issue with Remy, so while that gets solved, we'll continue to try and do some analysis on these guys. Mm-hmm. First day for the LCS players in the studio. They have done tests. All these things are pre-saved, but obviously with the first day, there will be some hiccups, and that's unfortunately what we're experiencing here. To speak about Freeze for a little bit, though, even though the announcement was recent, as you said, he has been with the team for a fair bit of time, and they've had their sights on wanting to get Freeze on this team for quite a while. So he meshes with the organization, as far as we know. He meshes with the team, and it's a move he's actually wanted to make for a while, coming to NA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been over a month, I believe, of actual practice with this squad. So, when you come together with Spring Split teams, some teams are very much brand new. TSM had a week. Origin didn't have internet for the last week, so they didn't have really any meaningful practice.
Oh,
but this is one of the squads that's been together for a month or so. Renegades, much like we actually saw with CLG in the opening game as well, have had a lot of time to gel, to make this team work, and to really explode out here. And this is, they'd recently released a promo video saying it'll be a tough road, it'll be a long road, but we're here to stay. But that long road has already started. They've kind of got a head start in this race of practicing, of getting ready to go. So Renegades, I believe, should be starting at the gates quite strong. By comparison, Team Liquid, a little bit more of a shock in their roster changes. Quas stepping down a little bit more suddenly. They had added Smoothie on purpose, but then Quas steps back from the game, and they've got to almost scramble to find new players. And instead of pulling up the Team Liquid Academy Zig, they grabbed the new player in Lorlo, and this is, again, his LCS debut.
And also what we've heard about the 10-man roster of Team Liquid, while it is nice to hear that the Team Liquid Academy team, or basically the 5 players that are currently on the bench, win about half their games against the main roster, it's nice to be like, oh yeah, everyone's on the same level. You also wonder if that's a bad thing, as far as Team Liquid performing at a high level in the LCS.
Yeah, at TLA are, I think, at least the 11th best, if not better, NA team in League of Legends, since they pretty much crushed the way into the qualifier challengers, but challenger qualifiers. Either way, we're not about them. We're about the Team Liquid main squad and Renegades up here on the screen. Kindred, Tom Kench, Rise, Lulu already off the table. Renegades with first pick when the last bans come through.
Yeah, so the Kindred ban, we haven't been seeing Kindred domination, that's for sure.
True.
Kirei was our first Kindred of the day, and then did not find much success on that. Thresh ban is very targeted at Remy. She will have to pull out for next best champ.
But already the Dr. Mundo grabbed without even hesitation here. Renegades were so sure they wanted that pickup that they barely even took time to pivot off of Team Liquid's ban and say, nope, this is still what we wanted. Renegades came into this game with a plan, and they've already executed so far.
Pretty safe generic pick there with Dr. Mundo. We've already seen that once today out of Hanser at the end of the draft. Darshan picked Jax against it. Lorlo has also described himself as a carry top laner and a clone of RF Legendary, so we'll see how that works when he's playing against his doppelganger who dyed his hair.
Yeah, RF more noticeable thanks to his new hairstyle, but Lucian Elise picked up here as well. No strangers to competitive League of Legends here. Piglet, remember back in the season, his first season with Team Liquid, his Lucian was part of the reason they did so well in the series against Cloud9 in their first playoff run. He was great on that champion. I think giving Piglet a playmaker is great because of this rookie top laner. I think there's more likeliness that they focus in this bottom lane for Team Liquid.
Lucian's also the champion he was on, I think, when the auto-spacing meme was born. Because he laid against Doublelift in the playoffs, and Doublelift said his auto-spacing was spectacular. It's basically the way to describe how well he's moving in between auto attacks and how well he keeps you at max range for his champion. Anyway, we don't even know if that Lucian's going bottom, but it probably is.
Yeah, it probably is. Piglet gonna hover his Vayne. I mean, there's still a skin basically named after him for Vayne, so you gotta bring that out when you can. Meanwhile, Crumbs and then Alex have locked in the next two champions for the team of Renegades.
Yeah, getting the Rek'Sai is very high value. Obviously, Elise was still taken as well with the ban of Kindred, so while it is high value, it is kind of the traded pick. To me, it tells me that Renegades is trying to save their final few picks to actually distinguish their team composition from something generic.
It's very strange, though, because Dr. Mundo is a flex pick, and you can choose between top and jungle, and that allows you to get a little bit of leeway, but now you know this Dr. Mundo's top. Team Liquid can counterpick top lane, still save mid for the counterpick without showing any more of their cards, and Team Liquid very rarely gets to counterpick both solos on red side.
Yeah, that is very true.
And they don't want to.
They decide not to? All right.
Support for last.
Yeah, at least they'll be giving... Yeah, that is locked in as well on the Nard. So both solo lanes taken. This to me just tells me Team Liquid has a composition that they are set running currently with those set of champions. It is just strong laning in general, pretty good team fighting, and nothing that Renegades has picked thus far can play as a hard counter into that yet. So it's not exactly a counter pick type of thing, but still an acceptable draft.
I know we definitely do like Nara and Dr. Mundo. I remember about a year ago when this matchup was super common in the top lane, especially in Korea, you'd run Ruin King almost every single time to try to out-split push and actually knock down the Dr. Mundo. So we used to see this as a counter pick back when this matchup was popular. We'll see if we see it anymore. Alistair locked in. The Orianna in for Alex Ich as well. And the final hover now for Team Liquid.
Yeah, Renegade's doubling down on team fighting a little bit there with the Orianna and the Alistair. Orianna is something you can pick safely almost into any matchup. It's actually fairly rare you see Orianna used as a counter pick. If you're going to pick Ori, a lot of times it goes early. So I really do think there's very little counter picking going on in this draft. And mainly these teams are typically just picking for comfort. The Gnar Mundo Blade of the Ruin King rush was a thing about a year and a half ago. But honestly, we haven't seen it since, and Blade of the Ruin King is substantially weaker on the new season.
True.
So I don't know if that's actually going to be the build that Lolo would go with. It'll be really interesting to see how they play in the game.
Yeah, it's interesting. I always am intrigued by the very first game of the season because these teams have an obnoxiously long amount of time to prepare for the match, and they know exactly who they're up against. They've been playing with the team for a while. Okay, patches change, but and it sort of speaks to your point about these players are picking for comfort. They're picking for their own strategy, less for counter picks, because these comps were prepared. They've been practiced for, in some cases, months even. And like, this is what we're going for. Here's how we start the season out here with the right kind of champions, right kind of strategies. And here we go, the last pick coming through with a Janna. So a very hefty backline here for Team Liquid.
Yeah, and more tanks on the side of Renegades, which will create some interesting incentivizations for team fights. Usually, the team with more tanks has more refined team fighting. So triple tank strategy for Renegades, whereas Elise, we may be seeing Runic Echoes on her. Janna, definitely not a tank. It's basically going to be Lorlo, depending on how tanky he wants to go on Gnar. So different complexions on these teams, even though they've both gone with general comfort.
It's going to be a fun one to watch for then, as Renegades have a lot of ways in, and Team Liquid have only a few ways out, primarily just the Janna here. So we'll see just how well they can defend themselves and how well they can defend Piglet. Piglet versus Free is definitely going to be a very exciting matchup for me. These are two incredibly top-tier AD carries, some of the very best in the business. And as an AD main myself, I'm going to have a lot of fun watching these guys go at it. And two supports on somewhat new teams, some making their debuts, doing what they can to lead the teams to victory as well.
I'm really looking forward to the last 2 games here in North America because there are a ton of stories for every single one of these teams. And honestly, more interest than I've ever had in the North American LCS heading into a split.
Well, we're going to start reading into that book of stories right now, and we want you to tell us who's going to come out on top. So tweet at LL Esports with either the hashtag RENWin or the hashtag TLWin so that we can update the poll once we are into game. Here we go, everybody. The first game of the season for these 2 teams, and we are getting ourselves into the Rift as Renegades takes on Team Liquid.
All right. So one interesting thing of note already is Phoenix has gone for Ghost on Victor, which is relatively standard if you're not worried about a large amount of CC. You'd see a cleanse. I love the second defensive summoner on Victor, but as far as my favorite summoners for Victor, it is Ghost Flash, because I feel like closing the distance, especially near the tail end of team fights, is amplified so greatly by the move speed you get from your upgraded Q as well as the Ghost.
So a very zippy Victor here. It's the summoner combination we saw GBM used as well. And he's going to keep that one going. So Team Liquid off to an early invade on the left-hand side of the map. These trinkets will be able to track where the Renegades duo goes, but mirrored wards on the other side of the map. So very symmetrical invade paths here. And we'll see what the follow-up ends up being.
So now it'll all be about kind of who guesses right, because they've done the invade, they've placed the wards, and now they're retreating backwards. So currently, aside from the mid laners, everyone is outside of vision. At least with the way Renegades place their wards, I think they should have spotted some of Team Liquid retreating, so they can surmise that Team Liquid is starting within their red jungle, whereas Team Liquid cannot make the same assumption, I think. So right now, Piglet and Smoothie are actually just running into the lane. It's that 4-man start in the top lane, which is very lane swap dominant.
And we'll see if they want to build the freeze or shove the wave really fast. There's multiple ways to play the lane swap situation. We typically saw the cannon wave push in, and yeah, Piglet not trying to build a freeze in any way, so he's going to push this up as fast as possible. You know, Renegades, slightly different start, are going for the Krugs quickly in. You get still a little bit less XP for this as the new season changes, but it should still be totally fine for these guys. Small XP and gold lead for the Renegades duo.
And we've talked about lane swapping so much because it's in so many LCS games here. But basically, it is just a way of trying to eliminate the variance from the one-on-one situations you'd have in the early game and reach appropriate power spikes in which to make plays. But what ends up happening, especially early in the season when you see teams making lane swaps, kind of like we saw in TSM versus COG, is you can out-execute so heavily in a lane swap that it ends up granting you a substantial advantage instead of just reaching a power spike for you. Currently, in this iteration of the lane swap, no one is trying anything tricky, no one is swapping backwards, and we're most likely to just see a turret trade in both lanes.
And because of the double jungling, actually, Renegades actually have kind of an edge in terms of clearing more camps overall, so more of this jungle has been taken away. More of the camps are gone, and these guys are already in position on the Renegade side to push down the turret. Should still be able to be answered by Team Liquid, so it may end up being mirrored, but it's still just that slight resource advantage from that one camp chosen to be taken.
Yeah, just tracking experience a little bit. Lorlo hasn't shared as much. Dominate has taken more solo experience. RF Legendary has shared more with Crumbs. So if they do end up swapping back the top laners in any substantial way, Lorlo, although he did get a decent amount of gold from the turret, will be the lower level. The question is, will he freeze and stay here, or will he decide to try and bounce?
He would be able to because it's so close to the blue side of the map that wave will reinforce first. Smoothie also absorbed gold on that one, which allowed him to, I believe, actually buy a Ruby Crystal plus that pink ward there. So Smoothie shared some of the gold. If it was on purpose, it's a new adaptation. And as we sit with nearly equal resources, the mid lane matchup's very kind of close to equal. Phoenix, one of the very best mid laners that was playing in North America last year, and Alex is holding equal with him in the very early parts of this game.
I had many conversations towards the latter half of the summer split that were ranking Phoenix at Bjergsen's level for North America. So there are many people that just have Phoenix right at the top, and his numbers backed it up. The number of games win, his CS at 10, his KDAs, and pretty much just everything about his game. So far, though, Victor versus Orion doesn't have much early action, that's for sure.
There is, though, Remy versus Smoothie, and that was a headbutt. Janna goes away. Pink ward secured, and Remy is winning the vision game. Also infinitely higher CS as well, so by all metrics I can find, Alistar significantly better. Smoothie up to defend this top lane. 3 people up here is a lot of people, but keep in mind Piglet is hard freezing the bottom lane. So Piglet just, okay, not freezing anymore, but is getting a ton of farm back there in relative safety.
It's a stacked up wave that eventually will push to the other side for Piglet up there. But now it's going to be a bit of a 3-on-3 freeze on this side. If Team Liquid holds this and doesn't get dove, it'll be a huge boon for Piglet. But Renegades does not want to take that chance. They're going in for a dive.
4v3 on a Smoothie right away, and nothing he can do. First blood for Freeze. Renegades find someone to kill, and will they keep going? Remy needs to wait for the cooldowns, and they can re-engage this one 4v2. A couple of cooldowns burned by Dominate and Co, but here comes the next round if they want it. Right now, just in the minions. Renegades back out with a clean first blood.
You would think the Team Liquid needs to bail.
Liquid has to bail.
They should have bailed beforehand. The dive potential of an Alistar and a Rek'Sai can completely lock you down before you have the chance to use a Summoner spell. So that's exactly what Renegade did. They executed that kill. They had a large enough overall level advantage to make that dive low risk, and Team Liquid did not properly respect that move.
And look at that, RF able to walk right into the bottom lane, use teleport, but then walked at this point, and he's up 11 CS over Lorlo here. He's getting plenty of resources himself with Dr. Mundo. Level 4 is not bad for this stage of the game. Renegades out-execute the lane swap. When the lanes bounce back, they're in the right place to make the right play.
Hey, listen, this is, one of the first times I feel like all of our assumptions coming into an LCS split have been fairly true. We keep talking about this. Renegades has had more time together as a team from Challenger to their preseason in Korea, whereas Team Liquid has lost Quas, which impacts lane swapping heavily, and has also been swapping in and out and playing against their Challenger team rather frequently. There's been a lot of movement of players, so the team cohesion doesn't seem as there. And in a lane swap scenario where it is much less about individual mechanics and much more about team cohesion, Renegades has the slight edge.
Beautiful by them. And Team Liquid, though, still trying to find ways to answer back as Dominate roams down towards Piglet. Not really a lot gets done, though. They knock this turret to 2/3, but who really cares? Piglet is getting what farm he can, but Freeze is still ahead of him, and RF still ahead of Lorlo.
Yeah, now the turrets are going to equalize, however, because Piglet has been happily farming down in that bottom lane this entire time. Even though Team Liquid has tried to prioritize the farm for Piglet so that if he does fight Freeze later, he would have an edge, because of the failed defense by Team Liquid in the top lane, giving first blood to Freeze, any experience advantage he would have is voided by the gold advantage Freeze is now going to have over him.
Yep. Nice try right there. Does not land the stun on RF. He's now level 5. He's going to be okay. And also to continue your point, Chad, about individual skill versus team cohesion. As Renegades are doing better as a team, you were seeing a moderate lead for Phoenix in his mid lane. Right now he's going to be up 12 as the waves equalize. So Phoenix is still pretty much holding up to his pedigree as one of the most dominant mids in NA. Getting a small lead over Alex. She's already forced him back to base once. And we could see Phoenix try to do the best he can to carry this.
Yeah, and this is one of the earliest Rift Heralds I've actually seen. Oftentimes, the Rift Herald will be taken when the Dragon is already off, and the reason I don't see it taken early very often is because it takes someone so low while doing it that you almost always have to recall afterwards. And then the overall 250 gold gain cuts in, as well as the 2 minutes you hold the Doom's Eve buff, which is what drops after you kill Rift Herald. You're spending most of it just after taking it anyway, and the other team is able to farm. In this situation, though, it doesn't look like they actually spent much on it, because Team Liquid is bouncing a wave and waiting for Lolo to come up anyways. So we'll see if Crumbs can use that extra movement speed to get off some ganks.
Yeah, it was very smart. They just found the right sort of timing to do it, where it was just convenient to be off the map. And it's just what you expect. Any kind of PvE buff, like the E part doesn't get any harder, just the players get better. So over time, you figure out the right ways to do it. And this is actually a number of times now I've seen the jungler be the one that gets the buff specifically. Yeah,
there is a fair bit of variation on that. Generally, whoever you want to push an advantage gets the buff. If there is a top laner with a lead, you almost always give it to the top laner. But in this case, RF Legendary, off on a different side of the map, freezing, it was Remy or Crumbs. And in this point, you're going to give it to the jungler because he wants to move around the map and he wants to benefit from the additional damage.
So, let's see what he can do with his benefit. Right now, it's just been taking some jungle camps down, which is not terrible. The move speed and bonus damage it gives makes you clear faster. Freeze up 16, now 17 minions over Piglet. So, again, despite him being alone in the lane, he's not even... He's actually behind Freeze in every metric I can see here.
It's kind of a remarkable amount of farm that Freeze has, considering Freeze has been with the team, whereas Piglet has generally been on his own.
He's been
I
noted.
wonder how many dropped CS Piglet has, since very few of his CS feel contested. I don't remember a large amount of time he's been back in base.
Yeah.
That number actually feels quite low to me. I'd imagine 5 or 10 dropped CS at least.
Well, we'll see if Piglet can keep up and pick up his slack here. RF and Lorlo back to tied, though, as far as top lane matchups go, and it looks like it'll be something like a Black Cleaver or a Sterix for Lorlo after all. No pieces of Ruin King, so Dream smashed. No Ruin Kings for me. That's fine. RF's still going to tank up as best he can. And we'll see what the next strategy ends up being. Dragon so far staying uncontested. Team Liquid fighting for ward control as best they can down here as these lanes are matching more close to equal. I'm also curious to see how the top lane matchup ends up going with the outer turrets both dead. There's not only a lot of room to dive people with, but also a lot of room to potentially freeze a wave and lock the other top laner out of farm.
Yeah, and another change to this new season, obviously, is the durability of the inner turrets. Back last year, the inner turrets would stay up a very long time because of the shield they had on them. This year, no shield, less resistance. Alex goes in with the ult.
Has to flash away from the sun. Watson on this one, forcing a trade of flashes, but the ignite burned by Alex Ich. Phoenix very, very low, only a few potions in inventory. Hasn't even chucked one. He's got to be a bit scared of this. Dominate chasing in towards Crumbs. Not going to win that, though. Alex can join, and of course, Phoenix cannot without much health. Crumbs won't find much else to do, but he pushes Dominate out of the jungle.
Yeah, unless Phoenix has health, the fact that he has the Summoner's spell and ultimate advantage over Alex does not help. So this is a temporary window of opportunity that has been created by Alex for burning everything.
And
if Phoenix is still low, they're going to go for the push.
Very nicely done. Freeze is here. You've got the Alistair roaming near as well, and here comes the push on in. How much damage can they get? Not a terribly lot as the wave clear came through.
He's also still Victor, so he's laser in the early game at level 9, gets to clear absolutely everything. Should note that Phoenix has gone for the quick double upgrade. We have seen a lot of variation from this amongst Victors, dating back to when the Hex Core buff was changed to give less upfront statistics, and also going all the way to the beginning of this season because Frost Queen's Claim is such a powerful item. Just a millionth reminder for today, we are on the patch 6.1 patch. Patch 6.1. We're on patch 6.1 today, which means the mana regeneration of the Frost Queen's Claim has dipped from 150% to 100%. So not as good as a Rush.
Yeah, it's as much mana regen as a Morella Namicon, actually, literally exactly. So
Still
in case you wanted still a lot, but just if you wanted a point of context, a point of comparison, that's the exact same region if you go for it. Alex Ich buying my personal favorite AP item, Rod of Ages, was a big winner in the preseason as well. I think that item is super, super good. And any player who's buying basically both Frost Queens and Rod of Ages, I then trust them as a theory crafter, as they identify the best items in the game. So
They also don't have any mana problems.
They also will never have mana problems. That is true as well. So that will not be one of their 99 problems. Let's see what else you guys can do. Now the gold is staying. Actually, I was going to say it's staying, but it's actually growing slightly in the favor of Renegades now. They're up about 1,000. Now they're up 1,600. Mid lane still under a bit of assault here. They're pushing right in, looking for the play, and they get the first knockup. They really want Phoenix. A shotgun comes through. Now a knockback in under his turret. Alex has aggro temporarily. Crumb's now forced to run. TP coming in from RF is now canceled. He doesn't want in after all. Big trade, but nothing killed.
The damage didn't really seem to show up, and I think a lot of that just has to happen because Smoothie was there with Janna for the shield, and Phoenix had built a Negatron cloak so early on into the game. So the fact the Shockwave was pushed onto them straight by Remy was relatively inconsequential because Freeze couldn't follow properly through the turret without catching turret aggro to get the damage onto Phoenix. So while it was a well-spirited play, because of the automation for Phoenix and the positioning of Smoothie, it ends up kind of falling flat.
Yep, a giant chunk of shields just did everything they needed there. And the Squishies pulled aggro. They couldn't stay on it, even though it was a perfect headbutt, putting Phoenix right under the team. Team Liquid holds on for now. Gold lead stays about the same as it was before, and we go back to teams licking their wounds.
With that being said, though, that's the second, actually third, bit of initiative that Renegades has taken this game.
Yeah.
Team Liquid has played completely reactionary, which isn't a good sign, especially for I Will Dominate. When I Will Dominate is playing well, he is typically all over the map, ganking frequently. And this game, he has been largely invisible. Now, part of that could be he's waiting to pick up the Runic Echoes. He's also gone for the Tracker's Knife, which is kind of a defensive warding option, which most junglers see in pro play because you need access to the early wards. If there is a time for Team Liquid to get aggressive, and they have to get aggressive if they want to win, it would be about 15 minutes right now.
And so we've got I Will Dominate about 417 move speed on Spider Form, at least with this full build. Phoenix gets the blue buff. safely has to walk around to get back to mid, but still not the worst thing to be a part of. Renegades, though, already back into the jungle. The 3 tanks together. You can't kill them. You can't get rid of them. They can put wards down as much as they want with the sight stone there that Remy has and the trinket wards the rest of these guys have. Looking to make plays on the mid lane. The only place an outer turret still stands. And once again, Team Liquid here to defend the culling use as well as that Victor laser saying no thank you.
Yep. The defense is holding, so still a 1,200 gold discrepancy between Renegades and Team Liquid. Alex stacking up his Rod of Ages, but have to wait and see what he gets next. Obviously, the Blade of the Rune King was completed by Freeze. Very normal Kalista item for now. Isn't needed to cut through tanks, but it's just needed for the attack speed and lifesteal. And honestly, look at the recall timings of Team Liquid. They do not have any pressure on this map. They're backing away, and they're really having to burn all of their summoners and spells in a defensive fashion.
Piglet not remembering the Alistair flash timer, unfortunately. Flashed, so you could definitely Relentless Pursuit away from a headbutt Pulverize. So still a good play by Renegades. They force the flash out of Piglet. It's going to make Lucian much less successful in the future. And in 2 minutes when Remy gets flashed back, that is a nearly guaranteed kill if they can find Piglet ever alone. Dragon number 1 now on the plate. Renegades had already taken the Rift Herald a long time ago. Time for their second neutral objective. Easy rent, and Freeze is going to get Dragon number 1 in the field for Renegades.
Good job by Renegades taking advantage of opportunity right there. They have deep wards. They had removed Team Liquid's safety within their own jungle. They had burned the 80 carries flash. Natural timing to take Dragon. Team Liquid is not swinging back on any of Renegade's moves as of now, and Renegades is looking pretty solid.
This looks like kind of any team you put good players together. I'm talking about Team Liquid here. You put good players together without a clear, strong shot caller with a good offensive direction, because you're just like, all right, there's wards here, there's this there, this guy's gankable, this guy's not, and then no one ever like sets up a plan. Which
is very strange, because I Will Dominate has proven to be good in the past. This is 4/5, well 3/5, sorry, losing Expression as well, but still 3/5 of the Team Liquid that was first place in the summer split regular season of last year. Obviously a lot of changes, a lot of turmoil in the offseason, and some of that could be showing through here in Game 1.
Unfortunate then, not the best start ever for Team Liquid, but they get their own Rift Herald. We'll see just how they can apply this for themselves. Lorlo is the one who got the Doom's Eve buff, and after the Empowered Recall, we'll see just what he's going to be up to on that Gnar. 1,700 gold, still this lead not changing by much. Renegades, still that slight lead, shifting back and forth slightly, not doing a whole lot though. Mid lane once again, almost under fire, but Team Liquid always there to defend. So to their credit, they are in lockstep. They're never really giving too much away. And as they wait to power up more and more and more, Lucian is a crit builder. I think he would eventually outscale what Kalista would do, but that doesn't mean all that much.
Especially on single targets, but at the same time, he's got to cut through a damage-reducing Alistair.
Yeah, there's 3 tanks.
Alted Mundo with
It'll take you a while.
Shields from Orianna. Nice little item build thing I want to point out here. Crumbs has gone for a Sightstone on the jungler, as well as a knife. Never mind, we got to talk about that.
Meanwhile, Phoenix, goodbye. You're not getting reborn anytime soon. Down he goes, and there is 1 minion to break the backdoor bonus, and that will be enough to let Renegades in for a little while. But once again, Team Liquid in lockstep. They're there in time to keep the turret alive, but of course, still a good turret kill. Yeah,
they're salvaging situations, but by no means are Team Liquid winning these trades. Renegades are the ones making the plays. Freeze and Remy have set up multiple flashes and multiple pushes back just with the Kalista ultimate, and this should be the push where they get the turret kill.
There you go, yep. Team Liquid giving them the respect they deserve. They're, again, playing intelligently, reacting, but still not finding anything proactive for themselves. 2-0, 3 turrets now picked up for Renegades, and off the against the #1 regular season team from last split, Renegades off to a pretty good start.
Yeah, very impressive actually. And to speak to Crumbs' item build a little bit, the majority of Rek'Sais I've actually seen in the previous seasons would always go Stalker's Blade. Here, Crumbs has gone Sightstone as well. That was out of fog, so Phoenix didn't get a chance to burn his flash there. He was completely CC'd. He actually popped Ghost thinking he would maybe Ghost flash away, but it was not to be. But anyway, Crumbs has gone Sightstone without the Tracker's Knife. So most junglers this season, if they would have gone the Sightstone route, instead of just getting the earlier Tracker's Knife for the mini and baby Sightstone, so to speak, and sacrificing the combat smite in favor of just better combat stats because they're not building a Sightstone. Crumbs kind of going the other way. Ultimate move speed, boots of swiftness, as well as the smite to slow people down. But then you have to question how strong his combat effectiveness will be. The fact that he's winning and the fact that their vision control is so strong is showing benefits to the Sightstone still.
Yep, I do like that item builds can always, you can make these choices, make these trade-offs and say, well, not as tanky, but, and right now that second half is working very well. So props to Crumbs, props to Renegades, very good start so far. Not a lot of kills, but they are playing so well and controlled. Monte Cristo would be proud. There's only 2 kills in 20 minutes. No one's died. I mean, so far this is exactly what he'd want from his team. And
An exquisite game.
Huh?
An
exquisite game, yeah.
4 kills to 0 with every turret would be the perfect match.
Doa, however, is sad. Remy has no kills.
So need more bloodthirst in this game for sure.
Yeah. But is wearing the best Alistar skin to his credit, so to Doa's credit. And moving on, we sit 3,000 gold ahead. Renegades just continually eking out these advantages. Alexich roughly staying equal now with Phoenix, -10, not a big deal. RF is continuing to grow up as well over Lorelo. This window is going to be incredibly hard to deal with, and now Hurricane just got completed on Freeze. That's the major Callista power spike here. If they ever get into a team fight, Freeze will destroy people, as Team Liquid's tanks are not very big yet.
Freeze is in a situation to succeed, but a lot of this team fighting prowess will kind of come down to Alexich and Phoenix. Phoenix on Victor has the potential to burst out Freeze. Fortunately, though, for the rest of Renegades, everyone else has bought burst resistance already. We have 2 Spectre's Cows, we have an Aegis on an Alistar, an Abyssal Scepter in a row on Alex, and if he puts the shield onto Freeze, not a single member of Renegades is burstable. Their team fight is coming out so powerful, and they are building towards that inevitability.
Just raw AP builds coming out from most of these guys, right? Alexich not building any CDR items outside of the boots. Phoenix kind of the same way, already fully upgraded the Hex Core as well, so I mean, just gobs of ability power on these mages, and it's going for that burst type build, which, as you mentioned, not the most convenient thing against Renegades. So maybe some difficulties here for the Team Liquid team fighting as time goes on. Unfortunately, he misses the cannon under the turret, but rapid fire cannon is done, and so now Piglet will do some pretty sizable damage on this Lucian. Team Liquid in position to defend this mid lane, and the wave cleared is very easy for Phoenix. No major concerns here.
Still need to see Renegades set up some strong split pushing wave management from our legendary so they can force the rotations again. So far, all of their picks have come from Freeze, Fates calling Remy into a fight. Right now, though, with the extra gold, Remy gone with the distortion boots because they need to be able to make those plays more frequently. Now, an Alistar Flash Pulverize can quickly outpace the flash of the opponent if they try to use it to escape, which will set up plays in the long run if they get enough repetition of trying to make them.
Yep, do it once, do it again 3 minutes later, you're going to get the kills out every single time. We'll see if Renegades can make that happen the first round. We'll see if it gets flashed away from or if they catch him unaware like last time they ganked Phoenix. Crumb's waiting in the wings. Pink ward is there to make sure there's no wards coming around. Sadly, Remy is spotted right there, so this right-hand side lane not going to get hit much, but Renegades back and forth, it's much faster this way around. Crumbs wants in, Remy, good trade of flashes, so wait 3 minutes and it won't go as well for Phoenix. Midlane under fire, Crumbs forced to get back, a great shot, but hits 2, Smoothie nearly down, and now Piglet on the chase, the culling going forward. RF Legendary tanky enough to not care at all. Renegades get the trade of flashes they want, and out they go.
What's ironic about that is they traded flashes with the only other person who has distortion. So the flashes will actually be up at the same time if they were to try that again.
It's actually better.
It is a 0 win there. It depends who has the summon.
Lucidity boots is the thing for Phoenix. That's already 10%.
Yeah, it comes up even faster. So he'll get away. Either way, though, Renegades, with the pressure created, gets the second Dragon of the game, and they can still continue their way towards victory because 23.5 minutes into the game, we have yet to see a Team Liquid kill, or honestly, any type of aggressive move by Team Liquid.
They're hitting minions a lot. They're aggressive against those poor defenseless minions, but sadly against Renegades, nothing. And just do the fact-checking, Phoenix's flash is actually 30 seconds faster than Remy's, so the Lucidity boots makes him actually the perfect receptacle of flashes, as he can just do it better.
Good job, Phoenix, you did it.
Good job, Phoenix. You are baiting the right way with very low cooldowns. Very low, meaning 3 minutes, apparently, in this case. Team Liquid, once again, pushing forwards, looking for wards they can stomp, tunnels they can crush, maybe a Rift Scuttler here and there. But really not finding a lot to do. 4,000 gold now. The lead for Renegades as they slowly try to crush in their vision control. There is a total of 1 deep ward for Team Liquid, a single ward past the river. To be fair, I guess Renegades have timed out as well, but they've got the means to put more down.
Yeah, what is currently rare, double Sightstone build. coming out from them, and pink wards for every single person. I think Freeze would have his pink ward down on the map already. That's why he doesn't have it in his inventory.
He's an AD carry player. You never do that.
Yeah, the pink ward in the tri-brush that no one will ever walk through from Team Liquid is actually Freezes. So he put it there a long time ago, but the map pressure, the tri-brush in the bottom lane is Freezes.
Yep, okay. That's a good one to put down for me if I'm ever pushing, because I know I don't have to replace it, but I feel good that I've like warded.
My pink ward's on the map. I did it. I don't
Yep.
need to do another one. Don't tell me to buy another pink ward.
Oh, here we go again. They're looking for the move on in. Lorlo gonna get hit with the headbutt pulverized combo, but be careful because Phoenix is coming in with the Ghost, with the move speed. Remy's gonna take a bit of damage. Freeze very low, and Remy's gotta be real careful. Sucked in with the gravity well. And Kalista ult is already down.
He wants to
5
flash
more
ult.
seconds. And Cow is dead. Dominate coming forward. Pulling across. Nice house comes in. Shockwave buys some time and just barely survives. The Alistair will stay up. Renegades now forced to run without a support. Team Liquid, again, able to answer the aggression.
Both teams were just a hair slow on their play there, actually. At first, Team Liquid wanted to go in, or sorry, Renegades wanted to go in really hard. I'm mixing my words up. Renegades wanted to go in hard on Lorlo, who then got back fast enough, and then Team Liquid wanted to turn because they could get on Freeze without Alex each being there for the Orianna shields. But both moves were slightly slow, which led to, again, no kills happening.
But fights all the same. These things are happening. It's just a very long round of box where no one really falls down yet. Into round 7, here we go, 26 minutes into the game. Another blue buff for Alexic, uncontested.
Oh, Remy's no ultimate.
Oh, wow. All right.
Should not have been there.
Beef is on the plate. Team Liquid finally getting fed a little bit. We'll see how much more they can get for themselves. 4,000 gold still in the deficit, but they've got some time to actually get control back over this map. Pink ward's going down. There's still another one in the Baron pit they have to clear, but finally getting some vision for themselves.
First fatal misstep there by Remy gives Team Liquid, like you said, the time to go and place some wards. Empty the Tracker's Knife for I Will Dominate, go back to base, get it refilled, get the Sightstone refilled on Smoothie as soon as possible, and then maybe go and try and make some aggressive plays. But the problem with that is, honestly, until Piglet stacks up more and more items, it's not Phoenix who's going to be cutting through the double Spirit Visage, Aegis, and Magic Resist item on every single member of Renegades. Like, the level of Magic Resist Renegades is putting together is highly respectable of Phoenix's damage right now. And honestly, somewhat ignoring of Piglet, who's got a Janna buffed up Lucian. Like, if anyone's going to be able to do damage in these fights, it's Piglet.
I actually really do like Team Liquid's itemization, though. A very quick mortal reminder for Piglet here so we can cut through all the healing of Dr. Mundo. And Phoenix got Void Staff third. That is so correct and so smart, and I'm glad he did this. He's already got the AP from the Hex Core, so Void Staff right now to cut through these tanks that he must kill first. We see people get it wrong. I'm glad he did it right. There is damage to be had here, right? You talk about Piglet, he's got it. I think Phoenix has it too. There needs to be some respect from the Renegade side, even with these 3 tanks.
Yeah, well, typically for Victor in particular, like another reason Void Staff would be good here is the Hex Core, when it's fully upgraded and you're high level, is the highest single AP item in the game, not counting multipliers you could gain from the Death Cap. 160 AP from that right now. Void Staff helps you penetrate that.
Slightly out of range. Remy, I think, maybe didn't hit W when she thought she did, and only hit the pulverize there. Unfortunate, but Phoenix able to walk away safely. Freeze has used the ult almost entirely for finding ways to fight. They've blown some flashes from that. They've gotten a kill from that, but Team Liquid still able to kite back constantly. And I think maybe when Mortal Reminder comes through is when they decide to go back into this one when Piglet gets that spike. There's the item now.
Yeah.
And I'm curious when they choose to go in.
It's starting to feel like a game that Team Liquid just thinks Phoenix and Piglet will be able to carry when they get enough items. Because it hasn't been early game release pressure. Lorlo has just been keeping up with the general tank build. He did Phage, but never completed the Black Cleaver. So he just said, well, you know, I can't do Black Cleaver, time to get really, really tonky. As soon as Team Liquid decided to flip that defensive switch. And now we're 29 minutes into the game, still playing defense.
They got smart itemization choices. Even just being behind, you don't have the time to build more offensive items. He's got to be the tank in time for the team fights. Team Liquid, again, generally playing very smart, just not very aggressive is just the story for them. And as we've gone 29 minutes with 3 kills, a lot of these stories get talked about. Alexic once again playing the wave clear game. Highest CS on his team. Actually doing quite well, more than 10 CS a minute. That's always a good clip to have. Freeze has fallen off slightly in terms of getting farm priority, as Alex just waves clears so easily. But we're now on to the 3rd dragon of the game. Renegades already have gotten 2, but Team Liquid now here to defend the 3rd one. They want the stats buff.
Look at how inconsequential Crumbs' combo, the combo was from Owl Dominator him, and here's a fight.
Ooh, headbutts Piglet over the wall, who now gets a new bit of damage. Onto the Dragon they go. Renegades pushing in for the 3rd, but they've got to come back for this fight. Remy ulted out, a big combo comes in, a couple of knockups. Alex Itch could go down, flashes a safety for now. Finally taken out by I Will Dominate, but a big pulverize comes through from Remy. Stuns from Lorlo, still goes down, a 2 for 2 so far, but the fight will continue. Piglet on the backside. Crumbs has to respect that. RF on the chase, very, very durable. He's gonna land the point-blank flash cleaver. Grasp of the Undying, adding some damage as well. I Will Dominate, takes another cleaver to the back of the head, gets healed from a nearby kill on a Wolf, but it won't quite matter. One more cleaver should kill, and Freeze from downtown lands the spear. 3 for 3.
The Boots of Swiftness and the Runic Echoes almost invalidated the move speed gap from the cleavers towards the end of that fight, but it wasn't quite enough. And finally, 30 minutes in, we get our first big fight, and honestly, the beneficiary of that is Freeze. We knew he'd be at a big power spike. He already had the QSS to get out of harm's way, and he picks up multiple kills in that one to go 3-0-2.
Big deal for these guys that Renegades finally found their way into a team fight. The tanks were just so big. A 3 for 2, as I correct myself, in terms of overall kills, and Dragon 3 as well. Stack them up.
Yeah, watching this fight again, it actually wasn't that clean of an initiation by Remy, which prompted Team Liquid to go in hard. And the patience that Lorlo had on his Nara ultimate set up a really big combo, but Freeze QSS's, and Alex doesn't get immediately bursted. If Alex is fully bursted here, Team Liquid wins the fight. But he gets, right here, a 3-man shockwave up with his dying breath. How many times have you seen that shockwave fizzle because Orianna died? A fraction of a second makes the difference here that allows Renegades to pick up and clean up the end of this fight thanks to the shockwave going through before Alex is dead.
Dominate nearly lives because right there, he got 10 health from Piglet healing the Greater Wolf. Strength of Ages on Elise, but yeah, it's not enough.
The slow resistance from Alacrity, as well as the 20 move speed it has over other boot upgrades, and the 10% move speed from the Runic Echoes, makes him almost fully immune to Mundo Cleaver. That was remarkable.
Play, like, this has got to be like a 470 move speed Elise. Like something, 525 is the move speed when he's running towards a Janna. Like, Dominate runs real fast. We'll see if he can find his next way in. But 4.7 thousand gold, the lead for the Renegades here as they, as we mentioned earlier, finally won themselves a team fight. Dragon stacking up. They've got more move speed from that as well. Mid lane, not a chance to fight that one. Team Liquid, of course, don't have many engagements. Their only way to actually start a real fight, a real team fight, is Mega Gnar. And that's telegraphed. The big bar turns red. Renegades can see it, throw a cleaver, walk away.
Yeah, and like,
there's not a lot of tools to start fights for Liquid.
How much more burst can they put on an Alex each in an upcoming fight? That was a Gnar ult into a wall, into a Victor ultimate, and Piglet was the only one who wasn't immediately there, but how's he going to get through 3 tanks to hit a squishy? That team fight went almost as well as it could for Team Liquid if they maybe could have bursted Alex each out fully. I just don't see them getting that good of a Gnar ultimate that stuns both squishies into a wall and not winning the fight. It makes it hard for me to see Team Liquid winning the fight.
Absolutely agree. But Team Liquid still has to hold on and do what they can with this one. 5,000 gold down. They've got to cling on for dear life and hope that they can take this one down. Piglet up to the top side. Has to respect the fact that he's got very little ward coverage, though, and could have been jumped on, so can't go for the farm just yet. Instead, Renegades going for Baron.
Well, they saw some people backing. Lorlo back now. He can teleport in with home guards. If someone places a ward for him, it's a little bit farther away. Here comes TL. A lot of Callista stacks. They're going to go for it.
Here they come on forward. Dominate goes in. Oh! Early Ren, but it's still going to be fine. Smite lands and Dominate knocked up. Going to be taken down as fast as possible. RF forced to run, but he takes up so much damage that nothing happens. A 2-man Gnar ulti by Lorlo, but no one is around to deal any more damage. Piglet did kill off Remy, but here's another engage. Lorlo has nowhere to go. Will be killed. A 2-for-1 plus the Baron. Renegades still on the chase. Freeze finds a Ren, finds the move speed. A double kill for the Renegades AD carry, the new guy on the roster. Now RF to keep Phoenix from recalling. This team can push turrets down. Alex wants to push and get this kill, though.
Yeah, how much are they going to take off this one? They're going real hard for Phoenix, and he still dodges them all. But this is buying time for Freeze and Crumbs to push up the mid lane with Baron minions.
And that will be at least the turret. Piglet and Phoenix will get back, maybe safely. Phoenix still has to run away and force back Alex Itch. Yeah, okay, they're going to be okay on this one, but Inhibitor does go down after all. Crumbs on the backside, looking to find someone to take down. Final mid lane pushed away. A few more respawns come through. Alex got to be real careful, but of course there's still that Rek'Sai coming in from the backside. They really want Phoenix Freeze. Will get the kill, but will get killed off by Piglet all the same. Crumbs cannot really take this. Oh, wow, an overstep, a triple kill for Piglet. Hubris by Renegades.
That's big. Right up until that play, Renegades had full control over this game. The Baron, an Inhibitor down, smart decision-making, stronger tank lines, but the one person who they haven't been itemizing for yet in a full fashion with just Deadman's Plate and Sunfire Capes is Piglet. Now that he's got Mortal Reminder, building up some more items, triple kill for him gives Team Liquid a fighting chance.
And now in both these games, both AD carries actually 100% kill participation. They've been the ones largely executing the kills, but also just being there for the team fights. And as you mentioned, not itemizing for Piglet could bite Renegades in the back. To watch that dive again.
Yeah, well, this was Piglet kind of overextending, and then Renegades trying to turn a kill on the backside of this. They'd already won. They were trying to kind of double down and win the whole game off of this, but Freeze, their main damage dealer, took too much damage from the turret going in for those kills, and it made it pretty easy for Piglet to clean him up at the end of that fight.
So with that, we're down to only a couple of Baron buffs left on Renegades. It looks like just RF. Remy doesn't seem to have it either. So not too much they can push with. It's going to be a bit of timed out soon enough anyway, but Piglet, giant kill streak on him, 5-0-2. Red buff is going to be nice as well, and it's going to be a very kiteable Lucian, 30% CDR thanks to his Essence Reaver. A lot of attack speed, and looks like a Bloodthirster or an Infinity Edge coming to round out this item build. Infinity Edge fully bought for just a BF sword. This is a super high damage Lucian. He's going to do way more than Freeze will.
You have 70% critical chance, not to mention the critical strike bonus damage from Infinity Edge, 50% more. Really, really huge damage. No Randwin's Omens on Renegades. No Thorn Mills on Renegades either.
And only one Ninja Tabby.
It's not going to punish him for having a lack of lifesteal here. Only getting the Doran's Blade lifesteal currently. So yeah, Piglet would be the one looking to carry, and the Lich Bane on Phoenix as well is actually mainly to increase their chance of bursting out one of the squishies. The Victor Lich Bane burst is rather ridiculous. It's like old Lich Bane because you get a 0.5 ratio on the auto attack from just Victor's Q, and then also the 0.5 ratio from the Lich Bane, and it's on such a short cooldown later on in the game.
Yeah. This is a very, very scary Victor. You must beware Phoenix's damage, even for the frontliners here of Renegades. But they are not scared. 7,000 gold up, looking for the bot lane here. Kills are close, but Farm's been getting into the coffers of the Renegade squad. 37 minutes in. And not a lot done from the Baron, especially when you give 3 kills over to Piglet.
Well, the Baron power play there includes the gold from the Baron, so that's actually kind of a negative move. After they got the Baron, they ended up losing gold. A great defense from Team Liquid overall.
But we'll see if they can scale up. It's about Piglet and Phoenix, the 2 damage dealers. Mid inhibitor down is going to create some pressure as well. Right now, that's Lorlo defending it. Renegades pushing in 4v4. But giving a lot of respect to the potential burst, the potential engage. None of the squishies allowing themselves to be caught out here.
I also think the Renegades was very disorganized in that push. They were posturing as 4 people, but they had absolutely no pressure in the other lane by RF Legendary. He was actually kind of meandering around the red side jungle of Team Liquid instead of getting the wave in a position to threaten. This time the wave is in a position to threaten, but the mid wave doesn't have a super minion that's out yet. But since the second time they go for this inner turret, they've gotten enough poke down on the first one, and they can still make a little bit of headway.
And that headway has created 6 turrets to 3 right now, 4 dragons to 0. We might see our second Dragon 5 game of the day in only 4 games here.
What's happening, man? I was thinking we were going to see far fewer 5 dragons because that is the trend that we are seeing from solo queue.
Yeah.
But another thing that happens is Dragon could be so heavily prioritized last year for the 5 dragon buff that when you relax that prioritization, it becomes easier to take for the opponent. Because if people aren't thinking about it, they're not going to defend and you're able to take it. That could just be a temporary, low sample size change.
Sure.
But for now, actually, Dragon seems very high on the priority list for teams.
Yeah, I know we saw KT Rolster get it in their very first game of the season as well over in Korea.
Yeah. And they had another game where they got to 4.
Yeah. So certain teams are going for this kind of play style here. I will dominate. Fully stacked up on the Strength of the Ages. I'm actually seeing that become increasingly common for junglers, especially the tankier ones. It's basically that or Thunderlords. Strength of Ages is so many tank stats, actually. It's 300 health is a very big deal. For those who are wondering about Keystones, I'll call out some of them for you guys.
I love Strength of Ages.
Incredibly strong mastery, yeah. Super underrated, but we're seeing it more now. Players are learning as time goes on in the season. Baron, of course, coming up in 55 seconds. Renegades still the team with the lead. Should be able to keep control of this for the most part. Double Sight Stone. Now actually a combined Sight Stone for Remy, who has combined that in the Eye of the Equinox. Legendary now forced to run away, but he's going to take a lot of damage in very big slows. Forced to flash, but Piglet's still in this one. Not enough moves to get the kill, though. And RF Legendary will sit back at half HP in a full stack Dead Man's Plate.
But with that move, it eliminates the pressure from Renegades. RF can no longer split push with safety since he burned his flash and his ultimate. And that means Renegades also would have to make a clean 4v4 play, which they haven't been able to do for the last few minutes. Ever since the Baron play, where it seemed like Renegades was going to take control of the game, and the play right after that,
they've lost control.
It's starting to swing back to Team Liquid a little bit. This will be huge, though, because Crumbs is where they do not expect him to be.
Who's right behind that Dominate, but good luck killing that when you're full tank Rek'Sai. That's never going to kill an Elise off. Now in between Phoenix as well, he sees the footsteps. Crumbs knows what's going on. He's getting surrounded now. Crumbs, he needs teammates, but where are they? Down to 1,000 health, taking 1 million damage. Dominate goes in the front lines, a big culling. Gets freeze down fairly low, couple of shields coming through. Janitor Tomato gets a couple of knockups as well, and a fresh red buff for Piglet. Yes, please, thank you very much. And Crumbs at 1,000 health can recall, can ult, get back into this one. But now Spotted won't get to.
They don't want to give him time to recall. And they want to keep the pressure on here since they also burned the Alistar ultimate. So the tank's slowly getting chipped away on Renegade's side. Now, I mentioned earlier that tanks typically win team fights going into the game. But there reaches a point where damage dealers, again, do so much damage that you cannot reach a point of tankiness that
you survive them.
That you can't. With the Black Cleaver on Nard, that's a shred. Piglet can do the rest of it. Everyone has gone tank except for Alex and Freeze, so you wonder where the damage will be from Renegades. But as you said, Crumbs ults back in. It's the Baron Force yet again.
And Phoenix went for a blue buff, so he's not part of this fight just yet. 2,800 health on Baron. They're going to go, and there's the pickup. Second Baron of the game for Renegades. Crumbs in the front line, forced back a little bit. The culling doing not too much, actually does not find a line to hit any of the squishies. Lorlo is Meganar. What can he zone out? What can he do? Ulti is still up. What's he gonna find? Remy goes down quickly. Two-man shockwave into the back line, but Smoothie's up. A freeze goes in. A double kill for Piglet. The AD carries doing battle. Who's gonna do it better? It's gonna be Freeze dodging the piercing light. And now Lorlo on the chase. Gonna land the Hyper. A triple kill. Phoenix picks up where Piglet left off. An ace for Team Liquid.
And Baron costs Renegades everybody's life. Now there's a minion wave in the mid lane. It will not be Baron empowered, but 3 people to push it down. And gargantuan death timers 43 minutes into the game. An even bigger wave in the bottom lane. How much will Team Liquid be able to get?
They might get a lot. You can take Crumbs off Dignitas, but you can't take the Dignitas out of Crumbs. The Baron ends up being a huge blunder, and Team Liquid are here to push. Now, the question is, how much do they get? Alistar's up in 4, that doesn't matter so much. It's a 3 versus a support for 15 seconds at least. This is at minimum the inhibitor. It's risky to go for Nexus.
And to be fair, the Baron worked. The play after the Baron didn't work. Renegades caught themselves in a corridor that lined up all of Team Liquid's AoE in there. Phoenix landed a Death Ray on an ultimate, on a stun, on top of the Gnar ult, and then Piglet cleaned up after that. And Renegades didn't actually need to take that fight, but they wanted to because they were going for the whole game after Baron. If they win that fight, they're then pushing with the game. But once again, it stops them dead, as with this 5-dragon timer.
Oh man, that is by so much breathing. Let's watch this fight again, chat.
Yeah, so really early on, actually, Smoothie's ultimate gets burned. So there's no Janna ultimate to fear here, which I think gave Renegades a lot of confidence, but the culling does hit someone, and then Renegades splits off here. Half the people went home, half the people wanted to stay and fight. Now they're pushed on 2 sides of the wall. Freeze can't follow necessarily because he'll get bursted. A 3-man Lorlo ultimate into a whole truckload of damage from Phoenix and Piglet. And then Piglet gets, you know, his sights set on Freeze. Freeze outduels him a little bit, but the ultimate chase down ends up going to Team. What a crazy fight.
Absolutely insane. So yeah, a giant sigh of relief for Team Liquid. Oh, they got Baron, but we removed all 5 buffs. Well, they had 4 dragons. Well, that's going to be another 6 minutes till your next one. Team Liquid have been playing the waiting game for so long. They actually have time to wait if they really want to, but at this point, their power spikes are all on. They're down in gold with practically air quotes here because their carries are full. Piglet, though, suddenly gets caught on the wrong side of the map. A shutdown. That is not what they wanted.
Not in the slightest. This was their power play. They'd just taken a bottom inhibitor, so they had a window of time to set up a play, but the teamwork falls apart right at that moment, and now they have to wait over a minute for Piglet to revive with an exposed inhibitor. This, if anything, re-equalizes the game.
Forced to defend 4v4 for another 48 seconds as RF gets a bunch of farm and experience. Well, he's 18 already, but he's pushing in the bot lane for a rotation.
Depending on how Team Liquid wants to defend this, they should just give it up because Remy could flash ultimate and end the game if she catches the right person. If Phoenix gets caught here, there is no way of cleansing a CC chain off of Phoenix. And no Zonias either, since Phoenix has gone with the highest offensive potential in his build.
Yep.
By the way, that's a lot of ability.
That's a lot of ability power.
839 with the Sorcery Elixir on.
Nice. That is awesome. That is a whole bunch of fun. I'm looking forward to this kind of damage coming out again from Phoenix. I just love full offense builds. A bit more tempered from Alex. You mentioned lack of burstability. Riley's Crystal Scepter to add to the Rod of Ages and the Abyssal Scepter. Alex not going to die easily.
Yeah, it's a 3,000 health Orianna.
Yeah.
With 110 magic resistance when the ball is on top of him. Which also shields for 430. Like, he's not an easy person to kill. He's basically
practically Mundo. Actually, about 80% as durable as Mundo as far as raw health values. Resists change the matter, obviously.
Resist double it yet again because Mundo's at 205 magic resistance.
That's true.
Not to mention the 70% healing he gets from his ultimate.
I mean, that's a minor factor,
it's
chat.
cut in half by the Mortal Reminder, though.
Yeah, exactly. Only 35% max health, dude. So much. No, it's insane. Thorn Mail is done for Lorlo, though, so these big anti-AD items are finally coming in. Frozen Heart as well for I Will Dominate. No such Frozen Heart actually for Renegades, which is slightly odd. They could probably get some use out of the attack speed slows, but either way, they're still itemizing up as best they can. Now a Warbog's got completed for RF, so that's even more ridiculous amounts of health. How about 4,900? Yeah, it's a solid amount. Good luck killing him. No Blade of the Ruin King or any such % health items for the TL squad. Phoenix once again looking for the blue, but look at that. Renegade's already en route, and Phoenix could be jumped on. There comes the play. Flash Force, but Remy might find more Freeze. Nearly gets one shot by Dominate, but Dom forced to run away. And Freeze is safe enough. TP comes in for Lorlo after all, but they find nothing to do with it.
RF ended up canceling his teleport as well because Renegades were disengaging, so they trade teleports. They get the Flash Ghost out of Phoenix, which is beneficial since Remy still has her Flash if they are able to find yet another fight. Renegades again on the offensive, now 47 minutes in.
Let's see what they can get. Piglet's got to be careful. No Flash on this Lucian, and with Flash, as you mentioned, on Alistair, that is a big deal. That is scary. And that could easily mean a dead Piggy. Got to be careful on Lucian. Doesn't want to become bacon. TL do what they can to stay alive. Middle inhibitor dead for them. Of course, Renegades lost their bot lane. RF Legendary can split push that and hold it, but of course, without teleport, there's the option of Team Liquid finding the 5v4 without the Mundo, without the 5 million health tank. You can cut through those champions.
I want to take this small window to give Lorlo some credit. His Gnar ultimates have been incredibly pivotal in keeping Team Liquid in this game. The
Very
fight
true.
they almost won at Dragon, and then the fight they did win at Baron Pit. They're all set up with the Gnar ultimate. He's kind of the primary form of engage, and it's telegraphed, so a pretty huge challenge to actually make those work in your first LCS game ever.
Absolutely. Good stuff by Lorlo. So far doing what he can to keep his team in the game as the sole tank, really. I guess Dominate now actually can consider himself a tank now that he's much later game into release. But actually only a few champions left to buy any items at all. Crumbs is actually done buying stuff. Dominate has one slot. Both supports have roughly one slot, depending on how you view Pink Wards as an item. You could say they're done.
Yeah, and Remy will be working on that Frozen Heart you talked about. Just from an efficiency standpoint, they don't want to build a mana item on Mundo or Rek'Sai, so really Alistair is the only champion in which to build it, but there were a host of other items Remy wanted first. Randwinds, for instance, started to be built by Crumbs and Remy after Piglet killed everyone with crits. So they decided to reduce the crit damage a little bit, and then the Frozen Heart will come in after that.
Solid stuff. Actually, a ton of actives as well for Remy, right? You got to pop like 4 different things in the team fight. Lock a shield and the Randuin slow, which is insane. It's 4 seconds long. That can really hurt people. RF holding the front line pretty easily and safely. Gonna do just fine. Bit of engage. Okay, down to 2/3. Blurred the flash, actually. Remy now in the front line has to be a bit careful. Will not burn any ultis just yet. The culling comes through, burning RF even lower. But he is not ulted, so this Mundo is not anywhere close to the dead yet.
The health bar is alive for Mundo right now. He can fill that up real quick if he presses his ultimate, but the fight will continue. Not real ultimates being burned by anyone yet.
And it's a chance for Dragon 5 for Renegades. If this goes through, their power in the team fight skyrockets. They burn everything to death, quite literally.
Yeah, Renegades can stall this a little bit. Piglet needs to make routine trips to the mid lane to get the minions because they don't want their base to die to supers. But RF, no flash this time. The more poke lands, the closer we get to a fight, and the lower the dragon happens, the more certain a battle will be.
It resets though, and the Ren stacks are going to go away. Mid lane still pushing in. They could turn and burn for the base if they wanted to, but here comes the chance for the engage. Lorlo blocks the Alistar jump though, and now he is Meganar. Now he can force the team back. A good headbutt does the same to Lorlo though. Dominate in the front, can't find the cocoon just yet. Another house comes through. RF still holding the ultimate. Looking for something
Freeze
to
is
do.
getting the
Here's the
stacks
push
up.
forward. The flash gets knocked around. Finds a stun on Crumbs. Red team gets Dragon. It's safe for now for Team Liquid, but here comes the front line. Lorlo's already got in. Renegades, they really, really want in. It's 5v4. Piglets over the wall. Phoenix out as well. Remy in the front is out of ultis to save herself, so this Alistar must run away. Team Liquid hold on for dear life, but it's a 5v4.
Yeah, felt like a bit of a sacrifice, actually. Lorlo was distracting while Team Liquid went in for the Dragon because they could not afford to sacrifice Dragon 5. But in doing that, it will probably sacrifice this Baron now, 51 minutes in.
Yeah, you got kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. Then Dragon 5 is bad, so is Baron. Number 3 now for Renegades. So in terms of neutral objectives gained per game, this one among the high end. Still 100% KP for Freeze and securing so many objectives and trying to put out the damage for his team with 3 tanks in front of him.
So this morning, Freak,
Yeah.
we watched a 74-minute game end in CB LOL. And we're like, that'll be the longest game of the year probably. Because we were expecting like really short games. Like, how does a game even get past 45 minutes nowadays? Alex Each was max item Orianna 40 minutes in without a kill. Like, the gold is accelerated this game in League now, so typically people reach their max builds pretty early. And usually when people reach their max builds, especially when turrets are weaker, the games have been ending. And with death timers longer, the games have been ending. Yet, both in Brazil and here, we're getting these pretty long games. Of course, we're only 51 minutes here, but the way things are going back and forth, there's a chance it goes longer.
Looks at the engagement. That's the wrong target. Remy chunked heavily. It'll take a while to heal that back up as Alistar. No regen tools to speak of, and instead of Frozen Heart, actually also went for Zeke's Harbinger. So even putting more damage onto Freeze as Alistar. Remy not ridiculously tanky, has to ult for it, and Team Liquid have done a good job of playing around that, forcing the ult, re-engaging later, and these tanks are much less tanky. As all the, like, 2 of the big tanks, Renegades, are ult-based. It's not being as tanky afterwards.
Yeah, and it's all about moving back and forth and disengaging and only going hard if you get just the right Gnar ultimate. But at the same time, Lorlo also got melted pretty quickly by Freeze in the last fight. And there is a wave of super minions pushing in the mid, while Team Liquid is pretty aptly wave clearing the mid lane. Someone will have to make a big risk in order to move this game towards its conclusion, or a big mistake.
Could always happen. There's a lot of dynamic and very aggressive engage tools out there, and one wrong step means you're knocked into the air, then knocked into the team. The damage builders have been full build for a while. The tanks still have some room. Lorlo's actually got non-defensive boots and only a Spectre's Cowl, so you mentioned him dying last fight. He's actually one of the poorest people here in terms of actually being tanky. Missing kind of a slot and a half in terms of stats.
He's basically at the same item threshold as I Will Dominate.
Yeah, and both those guys are pretty squishy by comparison's sake.
Yeah, we knew coming in after the draft that Renegades was going to be the big meatball team walking around, and Team Liquid is going to be the ones that need to play with a little bit more finesse. So far, Phoenix and Piglet's finesse have been pretty good, and it's been mistakes from each side which have prolonged this game, to be quite honest. Renegades had the potential to kind of move this game towards a conclusion, then they gave a triple kill to Piglet.
Yep.
Then Team Liquid kept fighting their way back. They ace Renegades at Baron, they push in and expose an inhibitor in the bottom lane, and then when they're going to push their advantage, Piglet dies by himself, 1v5. So that's what's been keeping this game bouncing back and forth, and it is a lot of the pressure that exists on the LCS stage. Renegades now, even though they are experienced players, first game for RF Legendary, and the first game in the LCS for all these guys as Renegades. And Lorlo the same way, plus Team Liquid with all of their off-the-season changes. The synergy is going to take a while to get there and be super clean, but in the meantime, this is why the game is long.
Doing what they can to actually push in and make things happen. Dragon number 5, attempt number 3 is coming up in just a couple of minutes now for Renegades. Baron was picked up. The power play probably also going to be a pretty small number here, as not a lot gets done with that one. Dragon now only 2 minutes away. We'll see if they get it this time around, or if Team Liquid gets bonus move speed for themselves.
Well, Piglet actually got rid of his boots.
Phantom Dancer, 100% crit AD carry. We are here.
Time to get rid of Zeke's.
1100 damage. Yeah, literally a useless item unless he combines with Phoenix.
He gets the cooldown reduction and the ability power, and he should absolutely conduit with Phoenix now.
No reason. Literally none to buff Piglet. He has no AP to speak of.
There is an AP ratio on Ardent Blaze.
Yeah, but he has no AP. It's a percentage buff. It's not even like a static bonus. You get 20% more of 0. I can do that math, guys. It's 0.
Gotcha. Anyway, we'll see. We'll see as he's still tied to Piglet, so he should switch. But maybe there's a lack of communication here. Piglet being like, yo, I got 100% crit. Get this Zeke's off of me.
How often are you ever in a game like this anyway? Like, where you actually have to think about this decision and, like, rebinding?
It's true. Even then, he'll be a little bit slower.
Yeah.
Obviously, Phantom Dancer does give a large amount of movement speed when you're within combat range of an opponent. But as far as making map rotations, it slows him down, make him a little bit better at dueling the tanks that push through to him.
True.
And specifically at dueling Freeze, which is high on his priority list.
You would kill him in about 3 auto attacks. And he gets an extra one for free after a spell cast, so
whoever gets
Freeze,
the
good luck. Yeah, let's see whoever gets the hit first. All right, Piglet, stay safe. Your flash is up, your heal is up. You can do this. Meanwhile, Freeze, 3 lifesteal items. Very hard to actually take down. He can just withstand a Gnar and win the duel by taking 0 damage.
Yeah.
Dragon, 15 seconds away. RF on the side, they're looking for that play. Remy's up in the front line, but gets immediately stunned and knocked back by Smoothie. What's next up here? Gravity Well burned, so is the Janna ulti, as we mentioned. So is the Alistar and Callisto. So once again, Remy is an available target to be killed.
Really,
Meganar about to time out.
really great cocoon there by I Will Dominate.
Yeah,
Right
absolutely.
into the face of Remy. Burned her ultimate straight away, but Dragon is up yet again. If Renegades can burst this down, that will give them aspect of the Dragon and a big boost in combat for this next fight.
But it's still dangerous for RF Legendary. As long as he stays in combat, Warmogs does not give the bonus regen, but looks like he's stayed out of taking damage for quite some time.
Team
A
Liquid
good
has
stun.
to go in.
They've got to go in. Dragon's going to be picked up in a second, and there we go. Red team gets the Dragon. Somehow Dom steals it. Piglet kiting back as best he can. What can he hit, though? Lorlo holding the front line, but only as mini Gnar. Phoenix back and forth on the sides. RF Legendary running around with the ulti on. 177 health a tick. Renegade stays alive. Team Liquid gets the 3rd Dragon, and they've got a wave in the mid lane. They can go forward.
I Will Dominate with another clutch smite, beating out the Smite REN combo that Renegades had the potential of doing. You can just count it down and do it at the same time at a certain health threshold and guarantee you get it. But I Will Dominate gets it instead. Huge play for Team Liquid to stay in this game.
Here's the funny thing about as item builds go in.
Whoa!
Oh, whoa. Smoothie. And Crumbs. I guess Crumbs was tunneled, so we couldn't actually tell where Smoothie was,
you
right?
tunnel all. Well, the thing is, he tunneled all the way over. You can't cancel your tunnel early, and then instead of clicking for an auto attack to unburrow, he just manually unburrowed, and he wasn't in knock-up range of Smoothie. So Smoothie didn't get knocked up, and he could just walk away.
So really quickly about Ren Smite's super late game, you do so much damage per auto attack, you don't have enough spears to do 1,000 damage Ren anymore. And Smite just does 1,000 true damage. I actually don't know if it was, so again, Ren Smite was the thing, absolutely. But Ren itself, I think, couldn't have done it.
Correct. That's why it's got to be coordinated at team level.
Looking
Here it
for
comes
it.
again.
Are they gonna find Piglet? They found Piglet! A shockwave catches him, and he's gone! Renegades takes down Piglet. Now can they do the rest? Lorlo's here, a big stun in from the Mega Gnar. Can they get the damage onto Alex? A 2-man knockup from the Janna. Dominate's gotta be careful, and what can they even do? Phoenix kites away from Remy. Lorlo super low, and he's taking javelins. This could be Freeze, looking for the play. A flash cleaver, a stun from Lorlo, but can he get any more? How long till hop? Not soon enough. Freeze gets another one. It's a 2-for-0 for the Renegades, and they can keep on moving forward. A teleport from RF Legendary. Renegades looking to push in the 59th minute.
Phoenix still alive to clear the minions if he can. There is no Mundo ultimate or Alistar ultimate to clear this, and no flash for an extra initiation. I think they're just going to go to clean inhibitors here instead of trying to win the game straight out. But if they get a catch, they're going to go for the game. Safety first, victory later.
Double inhibs and Baron would be safe afterwards in the ensuing 4v3, 5v3 even. But they're still clearing the waves. They're looking to win the game right now. 12 seconds on Piglet.
That's it.
Zonia's by Phoenix, but he's gonna get stunned. No, he flashes. But can they find more? They knock in Smoothie. The shockwave pulls back a couple of people. Smoothie is still alive, but they're on the turrets. Piglet's alive now.
Man.
4v5. Team Liquid has to push him back, and they're gonna do so. Renegades forced out.
I thought for sure when Phoenix, Zonias, and Remy got on top of him that it was over, but he's managed to flash into his base, keep it alive. They even maintain a Nexus turret, and now Renegades, they could turn for Baron, but they'd run the risk of getting that taken away. And actually, because of the current position of the minion waves and the lack of teleports, Team Liquid is actually in a position where maybe they could take a Baron.
They can push a lot down. Rex is going to right back into the map, but Alex must heal. Thankfully, gets automatic home guard buff and can run right back in, but it's still going to take him about 12 seconds to get back in position for Baron, and we are now 1 hour into the game. Baron started for Team Liquid. Can they burn it down in time?
If they get the smite, it's theirs at this point. There's so much damage on Phoenix and Piglet, they can get it.
Oh, Crumbs gets the smite, the 4th Baron, I believe, of the game for his team, and they're gonna push in as best they can. Team Liquid stuck in the pit. They don't all have flash. They have to fight here. A big knockback. Lorlo looking for it. A shockwave coming in as well from Alexich, and Lorlo will be killed. I imagine Crumbs finding what he can. Freeze gets one. He wants Dominate. He's gonna get it as well. RF Legendary gets the kill credit. Now Piglet is gonna leave his team to die. Two dead from Liquid.
My God, Freak. The steals on steals this game. 61 minutes in now. Baron and 5 people against 3 and only 1 Nexus turret up this time. Surely, this is the end.
Chat, I feel like we're in Pittsburgh. I've never seen so much steals in the same game, but we are here. Renegades pushing forwards, 5 versus 3, and they're looking for that last Nexus turret. The tanks are there. Yes, the Team Liquid carries are alive, but they can't do enough, surely. Remy lands the stun, Freeze walking forward, and they've picked off Piglet. They're gonna pick off the Nexus, and in 61 minutes, Renegades 1-0.
And in total game time, they are now twice as experienced as Immortals. So congratulations to Renegades. But man, a little bit messy at times. Still a satisfying victory in the end because they were able to catch out Piglet specifically on 2 very important occasions. And even if Renegades made the misstep this game, they were able to recover. They had the lead at the start. They made small mistakes. They missed a smite at Dragon. They could never quite get 5 of them. But they could get the Barons, they could keep the faith in each other, and ultimately, they could win the game.
So what a good start. Renegades. New kids on the block, new AD carry as well from the team they qualified with. And it was tough, it was grueling, but they really never backed down. They had aggressive moves the whole way through, looking for plays, looking for fights, looking to at least burn flashes. Kept control for a good portion of it, and they take down one of the best teams from last year's NA LCS.
Absolutely, and now Piglet and the rest of Team Liquid will have to figure out what to do from here. Piglet, you know, he had that nice triple kill. He was 5-0 at one point, but he ended up the game 7-4, and ultimately his positioning and him not being with the rest of the team is what cost Team Liquid this game. They could have been in a position to win if not for him getting caught out on 2 separate occasions.
Rough stuff here. Sometimes it's the life of playing a 500 range AD carry. Sometimes it's the life of what happens when you're a little bit too cocky and not giving enough respect to Kalista Alistair engages. Those came in often enough. Good play by Renegades. Team Liquid now have to lick their wounds. They've got to get some practice in, and they've got to find a way to fire back tomorrow.
Yeah.
0-1, not the start they wanted.
And there were a lot of really intricate interactions in those later game team fights that we didn't have time to go over because the game became so rapid. But specifically, later in the game, Crumbs and RF Legendary really did a great job of zoning the damage dealers of Team Liquid so that Alex and Freeze could do damage. Later in the game, I was wondering if Renegades was going to have enough DPS with just the Orianna and the Kalista as well as 3 tanks to take people down. But because their tanks bought them so much time, they were then able to take down the lesser tanks of Team Liquid. Team fighting can get pretty crazy, especially when everyone's at 6-item builds. And it is really about zoning and controlling the target prioritization in fights. Who gets to pick who hits what?
Yeah.
And later in the game, Renegades was making all those choices.
And they did such a good job of it, too. Alex and Freeze, if they ever were caught a little bit, they still got away with it. They were able to flash out, shield themselves, land the shockwave, jump away, whatever it took. The limited gauge tools that did exist for Team Liquid, they couldn't land enough. And it's not like it was necessarily Lorlo's fault. He did the best he could, I think, from what I could see. But, well, there's a Janna built to disengage. The only tank you have, the only engage you have, and then there's also a QSS in the background for any cocoons that land. Like, there's not a lot of tools that Team Liquid ended up having, and they could never find the right kills. Grats to Renegades for getting the fights, getting the win, and in an hour, they got it done.
Yeah, there were some really good initiations by the Gnar. I'd say some questionable John ultimates by Smoothie as well. They were really early in a lot of these fights because they were really paranoid about the engage from Renegades. Yeah. But that's because Renegades was the ones putting the pressure on. So they were kind of making Team Liquid react for so much of it. Didn't expect a 62-minute game, that's for sure.
No, didn't. And I misspoke. It was Alistair being able to knock away the solo engage there, not the Janna. But either way, it worked very well for Renegades. And right now, we've actually got Riv with the Renegades jungler on the stage for chat.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Great cast on the day. I am joined by Crumbs from Renegades in their first win. They obviously have nothing else to do today because they didn't worry about wasting time. Their hour you guys had. What were you thinking the whole time? How's it feel to get a win with the first team here on the internet on the stage?
At first, we were pretty glad that the game was going to our pace, getting the dives, getting the turrets, but then we realized, okay, it's Janna, Victor. They're just going to stall out the game forever. And I think we could have closed out a little better, but we're mostly preoccupied with just getting that win and try to make, put on a good show. As bad as it sounds, like we just want to get that win and eventually, move up in the ranks.
So what was the communication like at the beginning? It was back and forth. We had a lot of Alistar, Kalista plays, the Fates calls going in. It seemed like the bot lane always wants to fight. Is that kind of the Renegades model? You guys are always going in and always trying to find something?
Well, I thought at first the comms were actually really great throughout the game because usually nobody, the communication is mostly between me and Maria, but now everybody was stepping up. Like Freeze was talking so much as he has that engage opportunity with the Kalista ult, and it was really great. It made a huge difference, as you could tell, with how many good ults they got off. But we were calm throughout the whole time, to be honest. Like when things went wrong, we mostly identified, all right, why did they go wrong? What do we have to do next? And mostly it was just managing the flash timers of the enemy as well as how we want to engage on them, because their plan was just to stall.
Yeah. I want to touch on that Freeze point. Was it that Freeze is usually not as loud, or he kind of just spoke up more this game and you guys were able to work around it?
Oh, no, he usually is pretty loud and vocal, but not as almost commanding. I'd say.
Assertive.
Yeah, not as exactly, not as assertive as I'd expect. But it was really great. He really did a good job today.
All right, Crumbs, I got a final question for you. You guys head off and you kind of watch the replay of that. It'll be a long one. Who are you guys looking at now? You've seen a few teams play today. We got one more game between two. Who you got your eyes on?
I have no idea, to be honest. Everybody's hyping up all the teams just based off of scrim results, but to be honest, that doesn't mean anything. Like, scrims are worthless, so all that matters is how you play on stage. And so far, it seems like everyone's kind of on an even playing field, to be honest. So I'm kind of excited for the season so far and see who can get out of this neck-and-neck race.
All right, well, congrats on the first win, and best of luck tomorrow in your games. Right now, we're going to throw it the analyst desk to break down some more.
Thank you very much, Riv. I mean, what a back-and-forth game. They just don't want to give us short games here in NA in Week 1. But we are going to take a moment to jump back into one of the final fights. Not the very last one, the second-to-last fight in that game, just because we need to take another look at this craziness that happened back and forth, left and right, all over the maps. We're going to pull that up and roll it out for you guys. We'll talk over it a little bit.
Yeah, we just need some time to process this. Once again, Freeze and Remy making this combo, but boom, right onto Piglet. And when there's 2 damage dealers on a team and you're able to take out 1, well, you don't need a mathematician to figure that out. And then also, if you look at the minimap, Victor is chasing around Crumbs right now. Phoenix is running off to the side. Crumbs gets away, but then Crumbs starts coming back, and now Victor starts coming back, and then they have to go back and forth. So off on the side, there's kind of a Benny Hill moment with the other damage dealer that's left alive. So then you basically left 2 tanks, 2 damage dealers to deal with only tanks.
Right.
So this was basically just Piglet misposition, and also Phoenix with a little tunnel vision afterwards, too.
Right. To be fair, the Smoothie ultimate came in immediately, almost knocked Remy just out of range for the ball, the Orianna ultimate to hit, but it still did, zeroed him out. That led to 2 inhib kills, which stalled. It didn't end the game quite yet. Crumbs came back, had that huge smite steal. We saw the resulting fight in Baron. That ends the game. But now it's time to go back and break down this 60-minute plus game that just happened from the very beginning. I want to look at Freeze in particular in the early game building quite a CS advantage over Piglet while grouping with the team for the turret pushes and Piglet in the solo lane.
Yeah, Freeze almost hit about 100 CS per minute pre-10 minutes, and he was doing a fantastic job just picking up this farm, even in the lane swap. So they were just giving it over to him, making sure that he was having a good time. Then when he got back to the lane, you realize that this is a combination with Freeze and Remy, where they're going to take every opportunity they can get. And I think that this bottom lane is slightly overlooked with all of the great acquisitions that we're seeing that have kind of accolades behind them, right? Doublelift Yellow Star. We're seeing Afro Moo have Stixay alongside him now, Wild Turtle and Adrian. And this is a combo that's extremely aggressive. Every time they saw an opportunity, they were using the catapult and throwing them in to try and make a play. I see Freeze and Remy as a combination that's going to try and make their own advantage. We talk so much about how AD carries are beneficiaries of their team, how if their team's doing well, they're going to do well. Well, this is a combination that's going to make their team do well. Right. And I think this is really cool to see because he's not just going to sit back and let the game happen.
Yeah, no shortage of aggression between the two of them, and I'm really excited to see them in a 2v2 matchup if that ever comes across, because we've seen them in the lane swap, and then we saw how they did utilize that Kalista ult with the Alistar to make picks, blow flashes, and gain advantages around the map. But what happens when you put them in a 2v2 scenario and they start running at your face, and you're very used to being a more passive bot lane with your AD or with your support?
Yeah, it definitely means that you have to start thinking more about pulling your jungler down, and it just applies so much pressure, which makes more opportunities for your jungler. And I want to transition to Vision here because Crumbs bought a Sightstone early on. Jat was talking about it. And then Alex and RF both held on to their yellow trinkets the entire game.
Right.
So they were prioritizing Vision on this squad because they think Vision is power. Every time I talk to Crumbs, he's just like, you know, you need Vision. And I mean, I guess it's fitting for the Prophet, but the Vision helps him win games. So if you're applying pressure bot, you can get these deeper wards on the opposite side of the map. You can get deeper wards on that side of the map. Wherever you see the enemy jungler, go to the opposite side, and you have an opportunity. So that makes you have these types of options, and this bottom lane just opens things up.
Yeah, it's a really interesting discussion around sacrificing essentially combat stats by going for that Sightstone, because you could pick up the trackers and be fine with that, not build the Sightstone, and then immediately start building into a Dead Man's Plate or whatever it is that you want. Instead, he's choosing to place to put the money into the wards, even upgrades to the red side, the Ruby Sightstone for those more actives on his no other actives.
Yeah, I was like, it's just for that extra ward and some HP, but it's how he likes to play League of Legends, and the fact that he's able to have that style work for him is really cool. Because when Crumbs actually left Dignitas, it was all about the fact that his team didn't really listen to him and they wanted to play League of Legends in a different way, right? They wanted to be aggressive. And he was like, well, I want to get the vision first and then make these plays instead of have a high risk, high reward thing go down. And now he's able to do that.
Exactly. Differing philosophies, and this seems to work out for him. I want to jump into our final replay 30 minutes into the game around the Dragon Pit, because we did, throughout the game, you and I were saying to each other, we just want to see Team Liquid pull the trigger on something. Lorlo, get in there, throw the ultimate out, and then have the damage follow-up. The problem is that consistently throughout the game, we would see a play like this made. Yes, finally, he jumped in, he ulted, but the Phoenix damage didn't follow immediately, and Freeze with a beautiful QSS to get himself out of that laser damage.
Yeah, that was the key part right there, is Freeze with the instant QSS against the wall and the walk backwards instead of doing an auto attack, because the laser from Victor immediately follows him up, and if Phoenix had flash lasered, but he didn't really see that coming. The QSS was really smooth on Freeze's part.
Right, and this is that kind of thing where we talk about Team Liquid. They had some roster changes in the offseason. We're not sure, how much they're meshing together, and it did seem every time Lorlo had multiple good ults, and there was the one time up around the Baron Pit that we did see it capitalize on, 3-man stun, Victor ult, Victor laser, just killed all 3 of them. When it does work, it worked very well, but there were multiple times aside from that it just wasn't quite hitting in the milliseconds that it needed to, and it afforded Renegades the opportunity to turn it around.
Yeah, I think that Lorlo, I was just sitting here going, pull the trigger, just flash, throw them into the wall to the right. Just get 2 people and it's fine. And it felt like he kept waiting for the perfect one too many times, and you can't hold it that long. And then it got to the point later on where they were poking him down, and they were just like, we're going to make your Mega Gnar go off. And he felt the need to jump in and try to go for whatever he could then. And I felt like that was an instinct he needed a little bit earlier.
Yeah, final thing, I just want to take a moment to appreciate the amount of damage, and I believe you wrote the numbers down, that came out of the Victor and the Lucian as compared to Kalista and Orianna, and how it kind of illustrates the point that total damage dealt doesn't necessarily illustrate the fact that you would win or should win.
Exactly. Jat was talking about it on broadcast where both have 2 damage dealers. Well, the damage out of Team Liquid, 110,000 damage.
Out of just those 2 champions.
Just those 2. Just Victor and Lucian. And then if you look over at Renegade side, 72,000 damage out of just Kalista and Orianna. So they basically did 150% of those 2 damage dealers' damage on Liquid side with those 2. So that's huge.
Right, and what it speaks to is that when Renegades did pull the trigger, the damage that they had was effective. We saw it in that fight where they zeroed out Piglet immediately, right? So the damage they're dealing is actually working towards the kill, not just poking out and then resetting fights. With Mundo was regenning up
There's
a
a lot of
ridiculous
damage.
amount.
There's a lot of HP to do damage too, so that'll pad your stats a little bit.
Right,
But
exactly. But an interesting statistic nonetheless. There's still one more game coming your way with Echo Fox taking on Team Impulse. The 2016 Spring Split continues in just a bit.
We are getting ourselves into the Rift as Renegades takes on Team Liquid.
They're going in for a dive.
4v3 on a smoothie right away, and nothing he can do. First blood for Freeze.
Okay, nothing needed.
Nice ult.
Nice ult. NA ult. We can break a tower now.
Ulted out, a big combo comes in, a couple of knockups. Alex Inch could go down, flashes a safety for now. Finally taken out by I Will Dominate, but a big pulver has come through from Remy.
We can keep on slow chasing.
Yep.
Nice. Nice. Go, Glista. Nice.
Okay, go down mid, go down mid.
Yes. Oh, he's pulling. Oh, shit, sorry.
They're gonna find Piglet. They found Piglet. A shockwave catches him, and he's gone. Renegades takes down Piglet. Now can they do the rest?
They can get it.
Oh, Crumbs gets the spine. And in 61 minutes, Renegades 1-0.